See, people are still trickling in. How's everybody doing? Good. Glad. It's cold, huh? I'm not used to this kind of weather anymore. I grew up in New York, but being back here it's tough. I think I'll just start with questions. Who's got a question? Yes. So what part of New York are you from? Oh, you're from Queens. I'm from, I grew up in the West Village on 12th Street and 6th Avenue. Yeah. I grew up there basically my whole life. Back there, yeah. Oh, God, I'm so bad at this. I grew up Mets, just by default, because of my brother, but I'm into soccer. I don't really like any other sport. Yeah.
So, what was the mood on the set in Firefly much of the time?
The mood was hysterical laughter, pretty much. Just everybody goofing off and having a good time. And even when we had long days, I'd still rather be at work than be at home. It was a really great show. It didn't feel like work. When I got a paycheck, I was like, what's this for? I don't understand. Are most of you guys from Boston, or have you traveled far? Who's come the furthest? Yell it out. Vermont. That's pretty far. Maryland. Long Island. All right. You win. So far. There's got to be a foreigner here somewhere. Somebody who's traveled far, far. You had a question, sir, in the front here. You had a question, and I interrupted.
Yeah, what's it like for actors when they see the final result of work, see the final show?
For me, it's always really disappointing because I'm in it, which is a total shocker every time. I don't enjoy watching because I always think that what I'm doing is totally different than what actually is on camera. And I learn from watching myself because I'm like, I got to stop doing that. So it's not a pleasant experience for me. But I enjoy watching everybody else a lot. And I'm often very surprised by watching everybody else how much better it seems than when we were just standing there talking to each other in our face. Yeah. I think it's a tough one. I like Out of Gas a lot. But Heart of Gold, I love Inara's story in that. It was the first time you got to see her show some emotion, which was very needed, I think. I was starting to feel like she's like a woman made of steel. She's like the best woman ever made. She doesn't get upset about anything, and so it was really great to see that. You had a question back there.
I was lucky enough to get into the early screening of Serenity where you and Sean came out and surprised.
Oh, cool. That was here, wasn't it? In Boston? Yeah. Yeah.
Not here, but.
Yeah.
And I was, you guys, I think, got to sit and watch the movie with the rest of us, and we were, of course, all seeing it for the first time. What was that like? To see it with this giant audience.
It was amazing. We were probably seeing it for one of the first times also because we'd seen a rough cut of it, but we didn't see it with all the special effects. So it was really exciting, and I'll never forget the gasp when Alan got killed. And it was just such a great experience to see it with you guys because I could see it at home and we were like, oh yeah, it's this movie I made, but with the audience, it was a total experience, and that was really great. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good question. If I had a time machine, I love Shakespeare, yeah. I was gonna say, I would love, I don't know if I necessarily need to go backwards or forwards for this, but Romeo and Juliet, I would love to play on stage before I'm too old to do it. And Cleopatra, I guess I would go forward in time to do. That would be really great, but I think you need a lot of life experience to play a role like that, which I think I'm almost ready for. But I would go back in time to have many conversations with actors that I've admired over the years, like Natalie Wood, who I think is amazing, and a lot of actors who've inspired me. And I'm trying to think of a female actress that I would love to ask, how do you do it in this business? Audrey Hepburn, and places, people like that. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your experience with being cast for Serenity and what your first impressions of Joss Whedon were.
I think you probably mean Firefly, right? Because the movie for Firefly, I had heard about this show, that Joss Whedon was creating a new show, and everybody was really excited about it. It was my first year, I think, out of school, and I didn't know what pilot season meant or what being on a TV show meant. And I was in New York, and I got the treatment, which usually you get a script when you're going to audition for something, and I got the treatment for it, which was just like a synopsis of what the show was going to be. And they were like, look at the role of Inara, and I was reading through it, where's Inara? And, intergalactic whore. And I just took it, and I just went like that. I was like, nope, not for me, not a role I'm interested in playing. I don't care who he is, I'm not doing it. So I didn't audition for it. Cut to a few months later, I'm in LA, and they've started shooting the show, and somebody's already cast in the role, and it wasn't working out, and Joss wanted to find another actress, and they've been a week into shooting. I was in LA for 3 days, running around taking meetings, and suddenly they're like, remember that thing? And I was like, oh God, come on, seriously, you guys. They're like, it's a Joss Whedon show. I'm like, I don't care, I'm not playing a space whore. So I'm like, fine. They convinced me to go in for the audition, so I go in and I read for it, and I'm like, oh, this dialogue is kind of good. I could get into this. And then he comes into the room, and we do it again with him, and he gives me some notes, and I just looked at him like, I will do anything you ever do and ask me to do. He was amazing. Working with him for half an hour on an audition, I just completely trusted him and thought it was the most amazing experience I'd had working on anything. And from that moment on, I think I left that room, and a day later I went to the network to test for the show, because you have to test in front of, you're basically in a room a little bit like half the size of this with 20 suits watching you, like, is this the person that we want to put on our show? It's really nerve-wracking. And then I got the job and went to set the next day, and it was a whirlwind. It all happened in 3 days, and it was my favorite thing I've ever worked on. Yeah. My thoughts are yes. I'd like to play that role. I don't think he's working on it anymore. I believe it didn't work out. I don't know what happened, but I don't think Joss is working on it anymore. If he were, I would be knocking on his door dressed as Wonder Woman. I said that to him once when he first got that job. We were doing a reading of Shakespeare at his house, which we do sometimes, which is a lot of fun. And I was like, we're reading Romeo and Juliet, and I was like, Joss, I almost showed up here dressed as Wonder Woman. And he's like, that would have been so awesome.
Is there anything you've done recently that we should be watching out for?
Hopefully. I did this pilot, which ABC hasn't picked up yet. So I'm waiting. I'll find out in December if they're actually going to put it on the air. And if so, then you should look out for it. I don't think it has a name yet, or maybe it's called The Deep End. I hear mixed things about it. It's a legal dramedy. It's funny. It's a great show. And what else? I feel like there's something I did. I can't remember. Oh, I don't know. I just did numbers. But to be honest with you, I didn't really like that. I didn't like that episode. I thought it wasn't that great. Oh well. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about being on Justice League?
Yeah, Justice League was a lot of fun. It was really liberating. Thank you. It was really liberating to walk into a booth and just be a character, with your voice, and I could, roll out of bed and show up and play this part. And sometimes we would just read it, and only once did I do it with the whole cast. Dennis Farina, who's hilarious, and Virginia Madsen were there. And then all the other times I was by myself in a little booth, and I would look at the image and then recreate it. But the first time I just did it, and then they drew the cartoon around it. and then you come back in to do all the fighting stuff, you know. So like you see her kicking and falling, and you're like, you have to go. Okay, now you're gonna go. And you're like, okay, say that again. It's very funny. How I Met Your Mother was really fun. That was a great show to work on. They were all so nice, and I like playing a little crazy. There's something really liberating about that. It was a great show. I was laughing just as hard as I was working. It was really great. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the practical jokes on the set? We've heard about it from Jewel 2 years ago when she was at this.
Well, you know, Jewel and Nathan have this whole flicking of the finger thing, right? Yeah. It gets old if you're just standing around there. You're like, you guys, come on. We're trying to work, you know. You'll feel something on your back, and it's Nathan's middle finger pointing at Jewel, you know. So there's a lot of that going on. Jewel and I started this game when it was like hour 13, and we were kind of losing it, where we would think of ways to kill ourselves. So, you know, there'd be a lot of people going by, and there'd be like lots of like wires on the set, and we would pretend to like loop our foot through it and fall and die. Or, you know, we would stick our tongue in a big socket, or we weren't actually doing these things, we were pretending we were. We would slit our throats and fall off the balcony. It was great. That was a lot of fun. What else? I think Alan, I can't remember if it was Alan or Nathan, greased somebody's trailer door so they couldn't open it. Yeah, it sounds like Nathan. I think Adam put a potato in Nathan's exhaust pipe in his brand new car and broke it. He was not pleased about that. What else did we do? Oh, there was a good one when we were doing, what's that episode? Trash, where Nathan is naked in the desert. He had to wear a little sock, you know, to protect himself, so he wasn't totally naked when he was shooting that scene. And we're all ready to go, and everybody's standing around, and we're like, where the fuck is Nathan? What's he doing? And he shows up and stands up to do the scene, and over the sock is a photograph of Joss Whedon's face. Yep, that's Nathan. A few times we would be shooting, and him and I would be doing a scene that was kind of challenging, and we really got to sink our teeth into it, and we would do a take or two, and he'd be like, wow, that was really great. You were really great. Thank you I enjoy working with you, and I think your work on this show is incredible. I'd be like, wow, thanks, Nathan. That really means a lot coming from you. And he would say, if you like eating horse shit. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah.
Jerry Lewis had Ingmar, who was the straight actor. It seemed to me when I was watching the Firefly series, which I bought, that you, in fact, were an excellent straight man who was the villain. And does he appreciate you at all?
Yes, he does. He's very sweet. We're friends. He just came over to my house a couple weeks ago. We had a pumpkin carving party. It was really fun. And he's so anal. He carved my home address into a pumpkin because he said he had a hard time finding it. So he's like, now you will light it up and put it outside. Yeah. Back there, yeah.
In our league, get a whole lot of more action in the series, but she made up for it with like flow and yeah. How was it training for that?
We had fight camp, which Summer did a whole 3 months of it. We showed up to fight camp, I think about a month before the movie started shooting, and Summer had been there for 2 months already, and she's like, wait till you see what I can do. And she's like bruised from head to toe. We're like, no thanks. She's doing these crazy spinning kicks. But we had a great fight choreographer and a great crew of people who were just, they would lay mats out on the floor and be like, now you're gonna kick from here and you're gonna end up there, and you're like, okay. And we would just try it over and over and over again. I think we did it 3 times a week for a month to choreograph all those fights and do all those things. Oh yeah. It is. Archery, I had a great time doing archery. That was my favorite part of the training because I found it really almost hypnotic. It was a really meditative thing to do, and there's a real technique to it, which was a lot of fun. You can get hurt. I mean, when that string flips back, it's like, ooh. But it was great. It was, and I really enjoyed the skill, and was even able to get one lesson out of Gina Davis, who's she's like an Olympic archer. So it was cool. I kept practicing for a while after that, after the movie wrapped and everything. I bought like a whole archery set, and I was just sitting in my basement. Yeah. We made up a lot of it. No. We would get tapes, which with every episode that came out, the script, we would get a Chinese tape of everybody's lines in Chinese. And it was just a Chinese woman saying them over and over again, and we would have to like repeat them and study them. But I always felt really guilty and horrible because I was like, whoever is Chinese knows I'm butchering their language right now, and nobody else knows the difference, so I can say whatever I want. But a few people will know. And Alan just would show up and be like, oh, I forgot to look at my tape. He would just be like, oh, no. He would just like make up whatever he was doing and not even think about it. I think there's a big outtake section with Alan just trying to do the Chinese. It was a process, not easy. Yeah, the difference was the budget, really. When you have, I think we had 7 or 8 days to shoot an hour episode, and then we had 3 months to do a 2-hour movie. It was really great, and I'm sure I could still be shooting that movie. But we felt like we had a little bit more time to really fine tune moments, and they had more budget for the special effects, so we did a lot of green screen work, and it was just like going back to summer camp a year later. You're like, oh, I remember these people, and the bond gets closer, and you really really get to know them more and more, and it was really special to come back and do that. Yeah. Eventually, the set of the show got really gloomy, especially towards the end there. And in the beginning, we were still getting to know each other. It was a pretty close family right away. A lot of goofing around immediately, so we broke the ice. But towards the end, we started to realize that they were not really behind the show when they started airing other things and preempting us for baseball and like Happy Gilmore, I think. So it got really depressing, and then when we found out the show got canceled, we still had, I think, another episode and a half to shoot. And there were still a lot of jokes through the tears. Nathan's famous joke was always, "What are they gonna do? Cancel us?" Which was a lot of fun. We could do whatever we wanted. And then when we were shooting the movie, it was like revenge in a way. We felt really proud, and we knew it was going to be over in 3 months. It was a finite amount of time, so we just really savored every moment.
On screen, the Firefly ship has a lot of gadgety,
Yeah.
what was the set like? Were there any weird things that didn't work, or, was trip over, or, I don't know?
Yeah, I was always tripping because I was the only one in like fabulous dresses and heels on like running up and down stairs, and like there's a scene in the movie where they all when they land, I forget now the planet where Book is. Haven, thank you. Where Serenity lands, and the cargo doors open, and everybody comes running out to see the destruction. And if you notice, I'm not in that shot because I couldn't get down that ramp. Like at the last minute, for some reason the way that it was lowered, it was on such an angle that only people with normal shoes could get down there. I couldn't even begin. I would slide. So I'm not in that shot. So there's a lot of that stuff going on. And on the set of Firefly, there was piloting the ship was always really interesting because you're not really piloting anything. You have to agree with each other, like, okay, I'm gonna turn the wheel this way, we all go that way. And that was really fun. It was funny to plan that stuff out. I think a few times Joss would be going, now right, left, center. It was really behind the scenes stuff. Should I tell you my secrets? Let's see. There's a few scenes in the series, I don't know if I can remember specific ones, where I feel like I can do better. And it's just me. Like, there's nothing specifically I can tell you that I did that I thought was wrong, but I know me and I know that I could do better. There's this, the scene in Heart of Gold where Inara is crying. I like the way that scene went, but I don't like the way in the hallway I'm so composed, And Joss wanted me to play it that way, and it makes total sense. And when you watch it, that's how it has to be played in order for the other scene to make sense. But I wish there had been a little something in there, or I don't know, it's so hard to tell. And also, you have no control over what they use. So even if I had done that, he still would have picked the take that he wanted to put in the show. There's a scene between Nathan and I in Out of Gas, where he's telling me how to operate the shuttle and how he's gonna stay and I'm gonna go and take Jane with me, and I tell him he doesn't have to die alone. And I that's one of my favorite scenes because it's really simple and we're just two people talking to each other, and there's no like fancy lines or anything. It's just two people who love each other not wanting to admit it. Not really. I mean, we would ask him like every day. But I think, what I think is we never would have gotten together or if we did, then we would have something would have happened. We would have started hating each other again. Because I think with that relationship, if you do, the show's over. Maybe in the final episode ever. But I think that was the fun in that relationship was. And I know people like that. I mean, I'm sure you do too, where like, they're wrong for each other, they're right for each other in so many ways, and they'll never get it together. They just live in that constant cycle. And he created two perfect characters, in my opinion. A woman who is a prostitute, but who is actually the only person that does legal work on the ship, and the guy who is a total crook, but has this noble sense of who he is and what the world should be. And it's perfect. They'll never get along. Yeah. I didn't see that, but I did hear about that. Totally. He's mine. Nobody can have him. Me. Yep. Yeah, we all signed on for a 3-picture deal, but I think it didn't do well enough for Universal for their standards. I'm not really sure. I think the movies, they're not going to do straight to DVD movies. They're doing theatrical releases, and I think just the nature of what it was, they don't deem it profitable. Who knows? I wish I could get inside all those people's heads, There's so many things, and I'm like, well, why did you do it this way? Yeah.
What was your favorite moment of working on Firefly?
I have so many. I mean, every day I was there was a favorite day. There's so many things. Shooting with Nathan, and when he would say sweet things to me like, oh, you're the sister I never had, I never wanted to have. It was great. It was the whole crew, everybody was so sweet. The makeup artists and the dressers and everybody. It was a real family, and no matter what was going on with us or if we were in a bad mood or anything going on in my life, I just set it aside every time I stepped on set, and it was like starting over. It was really great. And I don't speak this way about every show I'm on. I'm serious. Yeah. Well, it was really fun to play evil. Really fun. I don't think I could do it for like 7 years. I think, I don't know, maybe I could. But I think I like the character of Inara better than Adria only because I think that there's more to her. She can enter any world, whereas Adria is limited to that evil area of the world. But it was a lot of fun, and it was really liberating, and you know, you get to let out a lot of your demons through those people. And I thought, you know, it would be really easy to make her super evil and mean and malicious, but I was fighting against that because I think it's a lot more interesting when you see somebody that's evil. You're like, it takes you a second to be like, are they evil? Oh, they're evil. Because you can identify with them. You know, she just wants to rule the world.
I think one of the things, just especially in regard to keeping her balanced and not totally evil or one of the places that I found that really effective was when you were playing against, playing it opposite Claudia Black, trying to get her to believe that you would be your loving mother. Can you talk a little bit about working with her?
Yeah, she's great. Claudia Black is really great. Working with her was a breeze. I mean, she was really nurturing, actually, and you know, showed me the ropes and where things were, and would invite me over to her house for dinner in Vancouver when I was there by myself. And she was really sweet, and we had just a great rapport with each other. And it's ridiculous that I'm playing her daughter. I mean, you know, she's super young, but it was great. She always wants to try things, and she's really active in you know, doing scenes in different ways to see what works and flexing those muscles, and that was really fun for me, and to react to her doing different things, and it was inspiring. Yeah.
I thought I read on the boards that Joss revealed that Inara was dying and was her secret. Am I right about that?
You'll have to ask Joss. I'm sworn to secrecy. Yeah. No, we were all dying to know book story, and you know how Joss is. I think he'll take these things to his grave. There was some. You start to realize that he was at some point military or alliance or something, but we don't really know what his story is. And Joss never really answered our questions. He'd be like, well, "Just wait and see." Yeah.
There's a comic book coming out sometime next year called The Shepherd's Tale, which may answer questions or may just introduce new ones, but there's supposed to be something coming out of the comics.
That sounds great.
Have you seen yourself in the comic book?
I've seen the Serenity ones, yes. I don't think I've. Are there more? Okay. I think I've seen those. In one of them, I have really weird man hands on the cover. Those freak me out a little bit. Yep.
Inara's shuttle was really lavishly decorated, and I was wondering if after the show or after you're able to keep it as souvenirs.
Not really. I have a bowl. There's like a bowl that I use in Heart of Gold when what's that chick's name is giving birth? What's her name? Right. She's giving birth, and so I come in with this big, intricate Chinese decorated bowl. So I kept that bowl. They told me I could have it, and I kept some tea things, some tea sets, which was cute, but nothing else. No draperies, no costumes. Somebody walked up to me at a convention earlier this year wearing the Adria costume, and I was like, wow, that looks so real. Did you make that? She's like, no, that's your costume. I bought it. It's like, what? All right. I wish I'd been offered to buy my own costume, but sure, you can have it. And I hear there are people out there with Serenity costumes.
Of all the beautiful stuff that Inara got to wear, what was your favorite?
Oh my God, I had so many. There was this kimono type thing that was an antique piece actually, and it was like satin in the front and had panels, see-through panels on the sides that were made of silk, and it was like bluish green. That was stunning. There was like a few like robes that I wore that were amazing. This one robe in Shindig, where I come in to teach him fencing, there's this robe I'm wearing and I take it off. It's like the most beautiful flowing thing. Everything was amazing. I didn't like the corseted stuff so much. When I got to hang out in that all day long, that was painful, but everything else was great. Yeah. Juilliard. I have mixed feelings about Juilliard. I think everybody probably has mixed feelings about where they went to school. It's a great school. It's an intense, intense training. I would not suggest going there unless you are serious about acting. It has its ups and downs. I think it taught me a lot about discipline and a lot of flexing muscles, you know, of different speech training and voice training and accents and sword fighting and masks and all these things that, unfortunately, as an actor, you don't get to do when you're in your professional world. You very rarely get to do a play or a movie where you get to really transform. So it was great for the experience of 4 years of doing that, and I felt when I left there that I was ready for anything. I could walk into any audition and be like, "Oh, you want me to be a toad? Watch this." And I could do whatever. But you're also a little out of touch when you leave that world, I think. And it took me a couple of years to find myself in the professional world that I was entering and to be able to understand the things that I had to do in order to get a job, to understand the characters that I had to play, and to understand how to use myself a little bit in a more casual way than a theatrical way. So there was an adjustment period. And I think that school could benefit from entering the business a little bit, from having more camera classes and having their students do movies and shoot little shorts and do things like that, because that's where you are. I mean, it used to be in the business that you started in theater and then you worked your way up to film. But you can't get a theater job to save your life these days in New York. It's really hard. So you have to come to LA and do some TV shows and then go do a play. And you won't get a TV show if you feel like when you go in for an audition that you're going to be playing a Shakespeare, character. Yeah.
Which actors or directors would you like to work with? You have had that.
A lot. I know that there's people here from this convention with Twilight, and I'd love to work with Catherine Hardwicke. I think she's an incredible director. Soderbergh. I've gotten the chance to understudy a play in which Meryl Streep was in, and that was the most incredible experience working on a play I've had. She's something to watch. To watch her work was like the best masterclass I've ever had. I'd love to work. Who else would I like to work with? It's hard to think of them on the spot. I think Ryan Gosling's an amazing actor, and I would love to work with him. Some great indie directors that you guys probably have never heard of. I would love to do a film that's a little grittier than things I've done. Yeah. I love both. Whenever I'm doing a lot of TV and film, I feel like I'm going to quit. I'm going to go do theater in New York, and then I do a play, and it's the best experience of my life. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do a movie now. So I sort of like fluctuate back and forth. My love has always been the theater, because that was my training. And I think that for an actor, it's probably the most liberating, because you make your choices and you keep your choices. There's nobody on stage telling you, editing your choice. Of course, you have a director, but ultimately you can do what you're going to do on stage. And I like the rehearsal process of being with the same people for 3 weeks and finding these characters together. And I think it's very collaborative. And in a film, I find sometimes that I find my character halfway through shooting, and then I'm like, oh, crap, I can't go back and shoot those scenes. But I enjoy both. very much. Yeah. The female client. I think it's the most viewed episode online or something. It was fine, you know, it was no big deal. We just had a little smooch. It was fine. She was really nice. She smoked some cigarettes. That wasn't so fun. But it was fine. It was easy, you know. Suddenly, everybody was on set watching. And Nathan actually convinced me that there was like a live satellite feed into his trailer of everything that was going on set. Because he had somebody, he's sneaky. I think he had somebody watching the scene and telling him some things that I said that only like somebody on set would have seen. And I was like, how do you know? You weren't there. What do you mean? And he's like, I have a live feed in my trailer. And he totally convinced me of it. There was a question back here somewhere. Hi. Yes.
I think, hope I get the title right. You did an indie film called Way Off Broadway?
Yeah.
Is that right? And it's playing on IFC.
Oh, okay.
Was it a good experience for you? Can you tell us a little
Yeah, that was, Way Off Broadway was great. It was my first job out of school. Actually, I did this other film, Perfume, but I had like a tiny role in it, and then I did Way Off Broadway, and it was great. It was a guy who had just graduated school as well, the director, and he was really into theater as well, so he knew how to he had that language that he could speak to actors. And it was a group of, there were 5 of us, I believe, and we were all close in age, and it was a movie sort of like St. Elmo's Fire, just about, you know, 5 friends out of school finding their way in the world. And it was just a really nice, comforting, great movie to do right out of school. And I'm really proud of my work in it. I'm so young and look it. And it was just a really, really nice, fun movie to make. It was a good intro into the movie world. Of course, it took 5 years, I think, for the director to release it. It's tough out there. Anybody? Yes.
Do you sing, and if you do, any interest in Dr. Horrible?
I would sing for Joss Whedon, but I can't really carry a tune. It would be ugly. I would love to do it because I'm a freak that way where if something scares me and I suck at it, I just want to do it more and more. So I would love to do it. I haven't been asked yet. Maybe I can subliminally tell him by dressing up as Dr. Horrible. I don't know. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. That was so easy. It was the easiest job I got. They called me up and said, do you want to be on Stargate? They're fans of Firefly. They wanted to give you this role of this evil woman named Audrey. I was like, sure, sounds great. I wish every job came that way. Yep. Which picture do I get to sign the most? I think it's probably the one where I'm laying back on a bunch of pillows with a black dress on. Go figure. Yeah, that one back there. That's the one. It's either that or something where I'm as Inara, but we shot those. When we did Serenity, Universal wanted us to have a bunch of pictures that were not in costumes in case some magazine asked for it. They could just send pictures of us somewhere. And I was like, oh, okay, we did the photo shoot really fast, and it's not really that into it, and that picture is everywhere. Just goes to show you. What do I like? There's a picture of, I think it's out there. I'd never see it anymore. It's a picture of me in like a bluish silver kind of dress where I'm leaning up against the wall as Inara. And it's really simple. I like that picture. Not that one. That's another one. Yeah. My mom is an actress, and I grew up watching her in Brazil. doing plays. And I think when I was first born, I was like 3 months old, and I was backstage with her, and I was crying or something, and she was doing some nativity story, and she just brought me on stage with her as baby Jesus. So you could say that's when I got the bug. But I always thought that my whole family in Brazil, they're very artistic. She's an actress. My great uncle's a director. My other uncle was an actor, and producers, and so I just thought that's what the normal world was like, and that's what everybody did. And I was going to be different. I was going to be a photographer or a soccer player, and then I just randomly was choosing schools for high school in New York, and liked those. There was like these, what they called the specialized schools. It was like Brooklyn Tech, Bronx Science, and Stuyvesant were the good schools, and then there was LaGuardia, which is this art school that had amazing academics. And I was like, why don't I go to that one? I can draw, and I did a portfolio, and I went in for painting, and I got in. And at the last second, my art teacher's like, why don't you audition for drama as well? I was like, really? Okay. And I was so shy. I was painfully shy as a kid, and was petrified of being in front of people. And I was like, this is that stupid thing I do where I'm like, if I'm afraid of something, I just do it. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove to myself I can do it. And I did it, and was like, oh, that felt really good. And I got in for theater as well, and I just decided I could use public skills because I'm so shy. It would be something that'll help me overcome that. So I just started doing it, and so half the day would be academics, half the day would be art, would be theater training, and I, within a week, was like, I don't want to do anything else with my life. And I got through my academics really quickly, graduated high school early, and went straight to Juilliard, and just knew from that moment on that that's what I wanted to do. My mom was thrilled, which not anybody's parents are ever thrilled when they say, I want to be an actor. Great. She was like, excellent. Yeah. Wow, I've gotten to travel quite a bit through conventions, which is really wonderful. I love going to Europe. Seville, Spain is one of my favorite places in the world. The food there is amazing. If you get a chance, go. And there's this little restaurant called La Leyenda, in this like weird industrial part of town. Go. It's like I eat there. We were there for 5 or 6 days. I think we ate there 8 times. Every meal, we would like walk around and come back. The waiters were like, "Hey, do you want the shaved foie gras?" Okay. And I like to do yoga. I do a lot of yoga. It's really important for me. I like hiking. I cook a lot. I love getting cooking magazines, and just if I'm bored, I'll just open it up and start making something. I have a problem with not doing anything. I can't sit still. So I'll come up with projects in the house. You know, I just had work done on my house because I was bored. And I have a little dog, so I take him out a lot and hang out with him. And I travel a lot. If I'm bored in LA, I go to New York. If I'm bored in New York, I come to LA. It's a lot of downtime as an actor, and it's not fun. Yeah. With my downtime, I cook. I do yoga. I mean, I'm an avid reader. I read everything and anything. I subscribe to New Yorker or Harper's, and I read biographies and fiction and books and short stories and everything. I mean, everything. And I don't really spend much time idling. I always feel like if I do that I lose some sort of momentum or concentration or something. And then when an audition comes, I'm like, oh, what? So I sort of feel like I have to keep, and for me, exercise is that. It's, I have to be physical and active so that I don't get too bored. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bring him with me a lot. He's little. Well, not that little. He's 17 pounds. He's like about that high. I thought he was a mutt for the longest time. I rescued him in LA, and I just was walking down the street in New York this summer, and this woman was like, "That's a Louchin!" And I was like, "I'm sorry." And she pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of her dog that looked exactly like my dog. And my dog is weird looking. He's like gray and white all over, and has sort of like a schnauzer terrier face thing. He's scrappy, you know. He's just like, looks like he's just like rolled out of bed. And he's a really good-natured dude. He's really, really sweet and funny. And I thought, I got this weird poodle terrier mix guy, and turns out he's a Lauchen, which is like, I don't know if anybody has one or has heard of one. It's like a rare breed from Germany and France. And in the 1700s, they used to breed them to be lap dogs for the royalty. So I decided I should probably treat him a little better, you know? Got lucky. His name is Rudy Rebound. Don't ask. It's a bad story. He came after a breakup. He was, you know, I always say, at least I knew he was a dog. Wah, wah, wah. He was, I had just broken up with somebody and just decided I needed to get out of bed in the morning, so he was my excuse. I got a dog, so I had to go walk him. And he's a great little guy. I haven't. The Great Gatsby is my favorite book of all time. I reread that every few years. Thanks, it's awesome. I've just recently picked up American Best Short Stories that Salman Rushdie edited. I finished that. I just finished 100 Years of Solitude, which is a great book. I hadn't read it, so I wanted to. I try to go back and read the classics every once in a while that I've missed. Anna Karenina is next on my list. And I read new fiction, things that come out that are great. And I do read some nonfiction stuff. I like Malcolm Gladwell's books a lot. And what else? I read a lot of self-help, what would be self-help, but in my opinion is, you know, advancement of your soul. Buddhist stuff. There's a woman named Pema Chodron that writes really great books. And you like her? Yeah, she's great. She has a horrible titled book called When Things Fall Apart, which is like, really? Like, that's what you're going to name your book? Who's going to go buy that, you know? And who wants to be seen reading that? But it's the most amazing book I've ever read, and it's basically Buddhist philosophy and life. Yeah.
Well, you know, since you've been in like 2 science fiction shows, have you run any typecasting or going auditions, or?
I no, don't worry about it, because that's just 2 shows out of, you know, 10 or 15 that I've done. So, you know, when you're at a convention, that's the focus. So that's what you end up talking about a lot. But I've been lucky to do quite a few things. And I just shot this pilot earlier this year that's a legal show. It's just totally different. And I think that science fiction work begets science fiction work because that world is very interconnected. But I've been lucky to do a lot of different things. Yeah. Any great conventions? Oh, stories? It's, by the way, thank you for coming. It's just so nice to meet people who are watching you and support your work, and I'm very humbled by it every time that you guys come and show up and are interested. I don't know why. Dragon Con is crazy. I don't know if you guys go to that. I remember standing at one point. I've been there twice. I remember this last time I was with my mom, and she'd never experienced a convention before, and it was really fun for me to see it through her eyes. And we were standing between, there's like, you know, 3 huge hotels, and we're just standing in the street at like 10 o'clock at night. And there's just thousands of people walking from that way to that way, back that way, and that way. And you're just standing there, and people are just crossing in front of you in costume. Just the weirdest, craziest things you've ever seen. And we were just like, wow, somebody needs to photograph this. This is like carnival. It's like, you know. And I just love seeing that and how people come together and do that kind of thing. And there have been a few people that are unpleasant, and, you know, I think I got asked once, and I think it was San Diego Comic-Con, we were doing a panel with the whole cast. Somebody asked me if I did bachelor parties. Funny, hilarious. Moving on, you know, you just ignore people like that. But everybody's really nice and pleasant and sweet. I had proposed for somebody once. That was something. I was at DragonCon, and this guy comes up to me real quick, and he's like, "Listen, I'm gonna come up with my wife, with my girlfriend, and I want to propose to her. So will you propose?" And I was like, "What? I've never been. What do I say?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." I was like, "I'll write it down for you on a picture. How's that?" And he's like, "Okay, great." So she comes up, and he's like, and I just like pull up his picture and says, "Will you marry me?" And she's like, "Yes." And I was like, part of their experience for the rest of their lives. I think that's so weird. Yeah. The question is if I've been back to Juilliard to talk about the profession. The answer is no. I've been back to audit classes because every once in a while I want to make sure I'm on track, but I haven't been back to say anything or to, I don't know. Maybe they think I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. What's happening? There's like a major exodus or like people coming in. Yes.
I saw you in New Jersey, I think about a year or two ago, and you were talking about the medical drama. Yes. I think it was on TV. I'm sorry I forgot the name of it.
Heartland.
Yes, Heartland. And I caught a few episodes of that. You guys were always in scrubs through the whole thing.
Yeah. That was Heartland on TNT. It was a short-lived series. I think we aired 7 episodes. Yeah, we were always in scrubs, and it was a downer. The show was a total downer. Which is why I got canceled. Nobody wanted to watch Treat Williams be a downer. Yeah, it was fun to do something totally different, to be a nurse, but after a while the scrubs got old. It's like, where are those fabulous dresses? It was comfortable though. Yeah. Do I ever make it back to Brazil? Yeah, I do. My whole family is there, so I go. I think every 2 years I try to go. It's stressful. This is distracting me. Hi, guys. I know you're not here for me, so what are you here to see? Who's coming up? Oh, you. Sorry. You want to come up now? You might as well. Come on up.
I'm Vic Mignogna.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. It's a pleasure. All right, I'm just going to stand here and observe.
I don't know what. Am I up? What is
it 2 to 3 kind of thing? 1 to 2?
It's 2, so I'm done. Does anybody have any last questions? Yeah.
Crap, now I have to make up a question.
No, you don't.
Okay, did anyone ask about whether or not they're going to be doing any more Serenity films?
No, but thanks for asking the most asked question, usually. No, I don't believe that there will be. I think that we're resting it. Let's put it to peace and just enjoy what we have so far, I think. Thank you, guys. They were great. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.